is the Practical Homeopathy Podcast, episode number 150 with Joette Calabrese.
Hi, I'm Joette Calabrese, and I welcome you to our healthcare movement, yours, mine, and the countless men and women across the globe who have retaken control of their family's health with practical homeopathy. So, for the next few minutes, let's link our arms as I demystify homeopathy, what was once considered an esoteric paradigm, into an understandable, reproducible, safe, and effective healthcare solution available to all. This is the medicine you've been searching for. My unique brand of homeopathy, practical homeopathy.
Welcome to the Practical Homeopathy Podcast. I'm Kate, and I'm here with Joette. Hi, Joette.
Hi, Kate. And actually, hi to many, but we're going to find out more about that in a minute, right?
Yes. Today we have a very special gathering of some of your inspiring students who are going to share their real stories, their successes, surprises, and heartfelt moments. And they've been using a homeopathic medicine called Silicea, along with many others. So we are going to welcome them here to share their stories.
Hi, ladies. So we're going to talk about Silicea, and they're at the top 100 homeopathic medicines we can use. They're the top 300 if we want to go a little bit deeper. They're the top 1,000. Silica's just one of them. But it was so fascinating when we started to talk about this in one of the classes. Everyone just came up with fascinating stories of their use of Silicea, which is made from flint. And for those of you who know anything about homeopathy, it is a cell salt. Doesn't mean it's any different than any other medicine. It just is in its own special little category. I'm dying to hear the stories. I've kind of heard little bits and pieces, but I haven't heard the full picture, the full measure of everyone. So I'm looking forward to getting to know what these stories are.
All right. So let's start with Christy. Welcome to the podcast, Christy.
Hi, Kate. It's so fun to be here today, see everyone and meet some new faces.
Christy, you have a story about your mom.
Yes, I do.
And glass. Please relay that. I remember that story. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, my mother and I were going through the gateway courses and we were studying the cell salts. And she's a nurse, so she's pretty self-reliant and, used to practicing things on herself. So she wasn't shy about diving right in, and she noticed all the things that Silicea was appropriate for. So she began to take Silicea, especially for her bunions. After about 2 weeks, the strangest thing started to happen. She had tiny shards of glass coming out of her face. So at first she didn't know what it was. And then she realized it was glass from a car accident she had been in over 25 years ago. So
she was working on bunions on one end and on the other end. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did it frighten her?
No, it didn't frighten her. She kept taking the Silicea and more and more glass started coming out of her face and her head. But after a while, she was kind of getting tired of it. So she decided maybe she'd try some higher potencies to see if it moved things along. But what she noticed is that larger pieces were coming out, but that became a little bit uncomfortable. So in the end, she just stuck with the 6X because it was working.
That's an amazing story, but it's not unusual. It's amazing to anyone who doesn't know anything about Silicea. But this is what Silicea is known to often produce.
Exactly. So
she was using 6X. Was she using it once, twice a day? How did she?
She was using it a couple times a day. For a long time. This has been over a year now. She still has glass coming out. She even stopped taking the Silicea for a while. And it's still coming out. So we don't know how much more glass is going to come out. But I'm sure you're wondering, yes, it did help with the bunions.
Yeah, that is the question, isn't it?
It did. In her face, her skin looks amazing. She has less wrinkles than most people her age. She looks great. But she's ready for the Silicea to finish.
Yeah, that's all right. We're finished now. Can we stop this job now?
Yeah.
What a fabulous story, Christy. So now she's hooked.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what happens when you realize that. And Silicea then is known for causing a suppuration around a shard, such as a branch, a piece of wood, a sliver, an old needle, a pin glass. That's the most common. I love to hear these glass stories. Thank you, Christy. This was really fascinating.
It was fun. Thank you.
All right, next we have Fernisha. Welcome, Fernisha.
Hi, it's so exciting to be here with all of you. I got to do the interview with Kate and I get to see everybody. So this is one of my favorite stories to share. I'm married and I'm a mom of 10 children with age ranges of a young adult in the early 20s down to the baby who's almost 3. So around 3.5 years ago, I had most of my children and noticed that one of my little boys had a different kind of walk. He was barely a year and a half, and my son had an unusual way of walking that seemed, different than what I was used to as a parent. And when he would walk, his feet were turned inward and his hips would sort of twist, and he almost looked like he was about to fall. So not only were my son's feet pointed inward, but his feet came together and the rest of his legs were far apart and were bowing, almost looked like parentheses. I had been taking Gateway to Practical Homeopathy classes and was slowly buying remedies and also got a cell salt kit. And when I first bought it, I had many health challenges and found relief by taking some of the cell salts. So homeopathy was helping me so much that I always wanted to learn more. So one day, I was reading the handout that came with my cell salt kit, which were all in 6x potency. And I was reading the keynotes and symptoms for each cell salt and noticed it says something like rickets under a cell salt called Silicea or Silicea. And I knew it was helpful for, teeth, bones, growing children, among many other things in age ranges and, if it matches. And I decided to try it for my son. I gave him about 2 doses in 2 days and his legs straightened. And they looked like parallel lines when he would walk, and his hips weren't swaying like they used to his feet. They weren't turned inward anymore. They were turned forward. And he didn't look like he was going to fall anymore. And our neighbors even noticed and said something to us. You wouldn't have known he had a problem walking before, and he hasn't needed that remedy again for his legs since then. As a mom, I'm so thankful to learn these things.
Fernisha, repeat that. In 2 days?
2 days, 2 doses. This was, 3.5 years ago. And I have the videos to prove it. I have videos if you ever want me to share that privately. It's amazing.
That is amazing. Have you noticed anything else with his walking now? You said his legs are parallel. How about your other children? Anything with them?
One of them does have a slight twist, and she's a fast runner. She's taking the cavity protocol, which has helped her, but she's the only other one. And a lot of my children are fast runners and they love to run. But this boy, he loves to run and he runs straight. Everything's straight and parallel.
Well, we expect miracles with homeopathy, but each time we hear one, it's still just as exciting as though we wouldn't expect it. It's really fabulous. Thank you so much for sharing that, Fernisha. That's a beautiful story.
My pleasure.
All right, next we have Tia. Welcome, Tia.
Thank you, Joette. Thank you, Kate. My story starts while I was in academy. I had been in karate with my youngest daughter, and one of the little girls was selling Girl Scout cookies. A few weeks later, the mother was dropping them off to me, and I hadn't been there in a while because academy was taking a lot of my time up. And she happened to say how she hadn't been in karate, mother, because she had been walking around her house one day and there was a mat. It was like bamboo or something like that. She stepped on it and she got a splinter in her foot. And it was so bad that she was on crutches. She went to the doctors and they said that they wouldn't do surgery because it could cause damage. So she was, at a loss. She tried other things, different oils, and she'd been soaking her feet and all that stuff, and nothing seemed to help. And she knew that I had been bringing my books every day when I was in class for karate. And she says, is there anything that can help me? This is awful. I'm on crutches. It's been weeks. And I said, well, yeah, there's this, little thing called silica. And I told her, get some in 200. And she took it for a week or a week and a half. And it came out and it was an inch long.
Whoa.
But it was all the way up in her foot. Yeah. It was like where the arch and the ball of the foot meet. Like I said, the doctors wouldn't touch it. And she was in so much pain. And it just came out. It had been in there for 5 weeks.
Ooh, that's a long time. So what was left at the end, Tia? When it came out, what was she left with? Was there still an infection? Did the infection just smoothed over? Did it just clear up with no residual issues remaining?
Nope, it was fine. Absolutely fine. You could just see the hole where it came out. She sent me a picture and everything. Yeah.
I've seen that picture. I've seen the picture of the actual sliver. An inch. That's a long way to go into a foot. Nice job. Now, you chose 200 instead of a 6. Tell me why. What were you thinking? I'd love to hear your rationale.
Well, because you've always said that you like 30s and 200s, and I tend to lean more towards 200s. She was in a lot of pain. It had been in there for several weeks. So she was tired of it and wanted to get it out. So I figured, okay, let's, hit it a little harder. And it came out.
So it only goes to show we've got 2 stories of 6s and now a story of a 200. Silica is silica in whatever potency you choose. So well done. I just have to ask this question. You brought your homeopathy books to your karate class?
Yes. Yep.
Did you learn how to chop them or?
Well, my youngest would be in class and then afterwards they would play. So, yeah,
He was in class and you were studying. Right.
Yes.
That's the way it works. Tia, great story. Good job. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
That's great. All right. Next up is Sarah. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, thanks. Hello, everybody. Super excited to be here too. It's kind of got some nerves going, but it's all good and all fun. So yeah, my story is a little different. We live in an alpine desert of Colorado, which sounds opposite. Everybody thinks mountains in Colorado, but there is a high alpine desert with tons of cactus and sand and can get very, very hot here. Where our house is, we have like a little small hiking trail. And my husband, it was a couple of years ago, took our 2 boys, they were about 3 and 6, out for a quick little hike through the backyard of the house. And the 3-year-old stumbled and fell right into a cactus patch. And this particular cactus patch is one called fishhook cactus. So it does have like the fishhook barb on the end of it and makes them really difficult to remove. Well, you also have a 3-year-old who gets up out of the cactus and he starts screaming and crying, but then he starts rubbing wherever he landed in the cactus. And if you know anything about cactus spines, if you rub it, they break off at the surface of the skin instead of like pulling out or coming out or anything else. So he broke off most of the top pieces of the cactus where I could pull them out with tweezers. So we were dealing with a lot. And a lot of people are like, oh, try glue, try duct tape, try all these things. Of course, that wasn't going to work. And I knew it because I knew a little bit of homeopathy and knew what silica does. So I sat him on the little counter and I was able to pull out a few of them. But I just started to dose him with silica in a 30. I chose a 30 because my only silica in a 6 was in bioplasma. And I wanted the strict effectiveness of silica alone. So all I had was my kit with 30 in it, and I gave him 2 doses over the course of about 4 or 5 days. And every single day I would pull 5 or 6 little tiny spines out of him. And then the next day, same thing, 5 or 6 little tiny spines out of, it was all over in his arm and his ribs and his leg. I mean, he like face planted pretty much into this poor little cactus thing. But after about a week, we finally got the last little barb out and he was so happy about it. He wasn't in a lot of pain, but he thought that was really cool. So now he knows and he looks at the cactus and he's like, oh, Mom, make sure you have your silica in case we go buy the cactus again. So he's well versed now in all of the homeopathy help.
What a fun story. Well, it's fun now. It wasn't fun for him at the time. So let me make sure I understand. If silica didn't push out the barb, you think they would still be embedded in those areas in which he had rubbed and broken off the tops?
It very well could be. Sometimes we've had them kind of fester up, but they're really hard to get to fester up. I think for the most part, they would be stuck in his skin still to this day. And that was 1.5 years ago.
Interesting. Wow. Excellent. So what would they have done, do you think, if you had taken him to the emergency room?
They don't do much. A lot of times they will just say, hey, we can try to tweeze out what we can. Hopefully the body does something with it. But
Hope the body pushes it out on its own. And silica did just that. It stimulated the body's natural ability to do that.
Exactly. Yes. And made it faster too, because my mother-in-law had this similar thing happen to her years and years ago. And she would visit the esthetician weekly for them to try to pull them all out. And it took months upon months for her to get them all out.
Wonderful. What a great story. The cactus story. So good. Who would think that cactus have barbs? That you wouldn't even think.
Those ones are tough.
Yeah. Great story, Sarah. Thank you.
Next is Amanda. Welcome, Amanda.
Thanks, everyone. Happy to be here and hear everybody's stories. It was probably a year and a half ago. I gobbled up all Joette's podcasts too and was like, when's the next podcast coming out? I couldn't wait for the next one. So super excited to be here. So I'm glad I wrote out my story because otherwise I think I just forget what I was going to talk about. No. We've been using homeopathy for our family for over 15 years. And with 6 children, we've had plenty of opportunities to use it. So this story tells the cautionary tale of our 3 girls who shared one large bedroom. I can't say they are known for wild antics, but one day all I heard was a great smash and some blood-curdling screams. I ran to their room and discovered they had set up a mattress and decided to invent their own bedroom slide, propping it up against another bed. Well, the fun was quite short-lived as my daughter slid down right into the glass-doored bookshelf, which smashed all over her feet and legs. It was a bloody mess and shards of glass everywhere, including many stuck all over her legs, plus 2 large gashes. I plucked out each glass piece I could see, but much to her horror, we did have to bring her into the emergency room for some stitches. This child carried big fears of needles, so that process alone was an event. But many months later, this same daughter started to have a tender spot when putting any pressure on her leg. So thinking maybe there was some remaining glass embedded, I gave 1 dose of Silica 200 and no more complaints. We kind of totally forgot about it. A month later, out popped a shard of glass right out of her leg. It was incredible. No bleeding, no pain, no big deal from the girl who normally went into full freaking mode with any puncture wound. She took it out and the skin simply just closed up right around it. And it happened again. It was like, here a shard, there a shard for a time. So yeah, I'm always in awe of homeopathy's little miracles, but this was just another example of a wonderful result of Silica's superb skills, gently putting things out of the body that don't belong.
Well put. So well put, Amanda. And you know what I think is fascinating about your story, in addition to where we're going with the shards, is that if you look at the psychology of someone who needs silica, not necessarily for injuries like this, but if you're using silica for other reasons, such as to give someone kind of more grit, people who need silica for whatever reason, they have a tremendous fear of pins and needles, of stepping on them, of being injected with them. And they often have, if someone is sewing, they don't want to be around the pins, or they make sure the pins are all put into the pin cushion in a very tidy fashion because they're very uncomfortable with it. And the fact that after you having given her silica, she no longer had that fear. Beautiful. It touched her on many levels.
Yeah, I'm so thankful she could see the power of homeopathy. And now if she ever has an issue, her first question is, Mom, what remedy can I take for this? And of all the never-ending questions my kids ask me, this is definitely one of my favorites. So thanks.
Yeah. And this is the way to raise them. This is the way to raise kids. There's no doubt about it. Good story. Thank you for sharing, Amanda. That was great.
Okay, next is Jessica. Hi, Jessica.
Hi. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to hear the other stories, especially Christie's mom. I have bunions, so I want my wrinkles to go away. So I'm going to start the bunion protocol, and then maybe my wrinkles will go away too. So thanks for your story, Christy.
Well, for those of you who can't see Jessica, she doesn't
have wrinkles.
No.
they're here.
She's gorgeous.
So my silica story is actually a friend of mine. She's a professional hairdresser, and so is her son. He works for her business as well. She was taking my Gateway class, and in Gateway 2, we talk about the cell salts, silica specifically. As we went through the discussion, he had been having foot pain, persistent foot pain. And she kept asking me, what could we do for heel spurs, or there were a few different things she was looking at. And I was like, well, we really need to know what's going on. You might need to go see a podiatrist. We need a diagnosis. Well, when we got to the silica lesson, she was reading about it. After hearing more about silica, she gave him a few doses over a few days. What happened next is wild. Hair splinters started coming out of his foot. 8 in total. So 8 hair splinters came out of his foot. Once they were out, the pain was completely gone. So it turns out hair splinters in feet are pretty common amongst hairdressers. I didn't realize this. And that's what it was. The foot pain was from the hairs when he was doing haircuts that got into his feet and were causing the pain. So after that, he's not been in any pain. It just completely went away. 8 hair splinters.
That's fascinating because you don't think of those kinds of problems that are associated with specific occupations. But yeah, I've heard that before about hair. So they can't really wear sandals without socks or something because they can often get embedded. Yeah. And it depends on what kind of hair it is, too. Is it thick? Is it sharp? Is it et cetera? Fascinating. So good. So good. Thank you for sharing that, Jessica. It's a great story. Yeah. And bunions. We know silica is great for bunions. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. We've had some good reports on that as well. Thank you.
All right. Let's finish up with Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Kate. Thanks for having me. My story is regarding my dog, one of my 3 dogs, Ice. He got into a little bit of a tiff with a porcupine and showed up at my doorstep with 12 quills in his cheek and nose. So luckily it was only 12. And my husband, my daughter, and I had to pin him down and pull them out with pliers. He's 130 pounds, so a force to be reckoned with. After a while, he did not get used to us. He would run every time he's seen us, so I had to be quite sneaky pulling them out. Time and time again, I'd catch him sleeping and rip one out. I got to the last 3, and the last one I broke off in his cheek. So I was quite mad at myself, but then I remember listening to a podcast regarding silica and how a little girl got glass in her face and it forced the foreign objects out of her face. So I thought, well, this is a perfect opportunity. So I had silica 30 on hand and I just dissolved it in water and put it over his food once a day. I wasn't very equipped with homeopathy at the time, so I did that once a day for maybe 5 days a week here and there for about 4 weeks. And then I just figured, maybe his body absorbed it. I have no idea. And I gave up. About 5 weeks after that happened, he came up to me and I noticed a hair coming out of the top of his nose. And I thought, well, that's unusual because the top of a dog's nose is quite flat and soft. So it looked as thick as a horsehair. So it was coming straight up and I'd try and brush it and he'd run away from me. And then finally, after about a week of seeing it grow and grow and grow, it got to about 1/4 of an inch high. And I was able to just be petting his ear. And I ripped it out with my thumb and my finger. And sure enough, it was the rest of that porcupine quill. But it had went in the side of his right lip and came out the very top of his nose.
Gosh, it migrated.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Wow. And they're barbed too. Speaking of barbed quills, porcupine quills are barbed. I just looked it up because I thought they were. So did you find the barb? Did it have?
Yeah, it was the end that was stuck in. Oh. So it came out the same way that it broke off. It's really crazy.
Amazing. Does he get it? Does he understand what you did?
Oh, well, he now doesn't go near the porcupines. So yes. I think that's the lesson.
That's the lesson. Yeah, because dogs sometimes really understand this. And they know that when something's wrong, they go to the person who has the remedies.
Oh, yeah.
Great story, Heather. That's wonderful. And so it closed up. No infection was remaining.
Nothing. No, being farm dogs, that's my husband's thing is they stay on the farm. We're not taking them to the vet. So everything I have to treat. So it's nice to become their veterinarian from home because I love them like my children.
It's up to you. It's up to you, Heather. Yeah, that's the way we all think here, isn't it? It's up to us to figure this out. And the beauty of all of this, too, is that silica is wonderful for abscesses. So if there is the potential of an abscess, or if an abscess begins to form, silica can often release that. The abscesses in the gums and other areas on the skin as well. So great story. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who came today and shared their stories. I know it's inspiring those of the listeners who are thinking about bunions or something that's embedded in the skin. I really appreciate you being here. Joette, any final words about silica or
bunions, abscesses, wrinkles, right? Pushing out shards, causing a suppuration to push out shards. It's a great medicine for shoring up somebody's angst and even bones that are forming. It's great as a remedy for teeth that are growing and for bones and children. There's so much involved in this medicine that I urge the listeners and viewers to crack open their Materia Medica, and many of them can be found free online or My Materia Medica, wherever you can get this information and read up on silica, sometimes pronounced Silicea, depends on whether it's the Latin version or the English version. So this is a great wrap up. I love what all of you have said. I can't thank you all enough for sharing this, taking the time out of your day to share this with everyone. And for those who are listening, thanks for joining us.
Yes. And if you want to learn more about other silica stories or other homeopathy stories, just go to JoetteCalabrese.com. That's JoetteCalabrese.com. And you can type in the search engine at the top of the page and find what to do for colds and sore throats and many other conditions. So thanks for being here with us today, everyone.
Thanks, Kate. It's my honor to share many lessons on this simple method of using homeopathy for free without affiliates or advertising here in my podcasts, but also my blog posts and Monday night lives. But it's critical that you learn how to use these medicines properly. These podcasts should serve as only the beginning of your training. Peruse JoettesLearningCenter.com to find fun study group opportunities and in-depth courses developed by subject. So with the proper training, you can join the thousands of students before you in developing the confidence and competence to protect the health of your family and loved ones with my brand of homeopathy. Practical Homeopathy.
You just listened to a podcast from internationally acclaimed homeopath, public speaker, and author, the founder of the Academy of Practical Homeopathy, Joette Calabrese. Joette's podcasts are available on all your favorite podcast apps. To learn more and find out if homeopathy is a good fit for your health strategy, visit practicalhomeopathy.com.